Deinstallation. To remove the currently installed shifter from your vehicle, you will need the following tools: a plastic prying wedge, a side cutter, a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, a 1/4 inch drive extension, a T20 Torx tool, a 1/4 inch universal joint, a pair of pliers, a magnet, a hoist or a jack and 4 stands, a 10mm socket, a 13mm socket, and a 10mm deep socket, a flathead screwdriver, a 2.5mm Allen key, a 5mm Allen key, and a panel trim remover. Step 1. Start removing the cover from the back with a plastic prying wedge. Slide the prying wedge underneath the cover of the shifter booth to unplug it. Then remove the cover from the shifter. Step 2. With a side cutter, cut the shifter knob retaining clip that holds the shifter boot. Then, open the clip to remove it. Step 3. Take the knob out by pulling it out from the shifter. Some force may be required. Step 4. Remove the sound deadening material or insulation. Step 5. For this step, you'll need a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, a 1/4 inch drive extension, and a T20 Torx tool. Remove the 2 small T20 Torx screws. Step 6. Pull the panel up to remove all of the connectors underneath the center console. Disconnect all of the connectors. Once removed, then remove the central control tray. Step 7. Pull the insulation out of the shifter and put it aside for later use. Step 8. If you have a keyless entry vehicle, push the rectangular bar further in front to make room. Do not unplug it. You will need a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, a 6-inch extension, and a 10mm deep socket for this step. Remove the 2 front 10mm bolts that hold the shifter to the car. It is a good idea to have a magnet to help you remove the bolts, as they can fall inside the carpet liner. Use a 1/4 inch universal joint to remove the 2 back 10mm bolts. You can also use a power tool for this. Step 9. Elevate the vehicle on a hoist or with a jack and 4 stands to be able to access underneath the vehicle. Remove the 8 bolts holding the 2 tunnel braces with a 13mm socket. Step 10. Using a 13mm socket, remove the exhaust clamp. Step 11. Remove the front exhaust hanger by removing the 2 13mm bolts with a 13mm socket or a wrench and a ratchet. Step 12. Remove the exhaust resonator by hand. Depending on your vehicle, you may require a 13, 14, or 16mm ratchet, socket, and extension. Step 13. Using a 13mm socket, remove the 2 bolts holding the middle exhaust hanger. Step 14. Using a 10mm socket, loosen the 10 nuts holding each of the 2 plastic covers under the car. Step 15. Remove the heat shield from the tunnel using a panel trim remover. Remember to hold the shifter box when taking out the heat shield. Step 16. Using a flathead screwdriver, unfold all of the metal flaps from the shift box cover. Step 17. Using a flathead screwdriver with a twist motion, pop the 2 cables out of the shifter linkage. Make sure the linkage bushing stays on the cable. Use a flathead screwdriver with a twist motion to remove retaining clips. The deinstallation is now complete. Installation. This installation is for the Mark IV, Mark V, and Mark VI models. Tools required: a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, a 1/4 inch drive extension, a 1/4 inch universal joint, a 10mm wrench, and a 2.5mm Allen key. Step 1. Take your KDN Performance shifter out of the box. When you receive the package, make sure you open the box where the tape is located to avoid damaging the shifter. The shifter is securely boxed for shipping. Remove the first layer of foam to unveil the shifter and take the shifter out of the box. You will find inside a shifter, fully assembled and ready to install. Step 2. The first thing you'll need to do is to remove the 10 2.5mm Allen key head bolts from the shifter box cover with a 2.5mm Allen key. Step 3. Using a 10mm wrench, loosen up the 10mm nut holding the shifter linkage to make room for the cable to go in. Step 4. Install cables in the shift box to their specific location. They will snap in place just like they would on the original shifter. Use long-nose pliers to install retaining clips. Step 5. Tighten the 10mm nut back up using a 10mm wrench while holding the left-right shifter linkage at the same time. Step 6. Put the shift box cover back on and tighten the 2.5mm Allen key bolts using a 2.5mm Allen key. Tighten until there's a light pressure on the seal. Step 7. Insert the KDN Performance shifter by tilting the shifter slightly to the right towards the passenger side in a way that the outside part of the shifter linkage avoids hitting the side of the tunnel. Put the front tunnel brace back on to keep the shifter from falling. Step 8. If needed, lower the car to be able to get inside. From the inside of the car, tighten the 4 10mm nuts holding the shifter box in place using a 1/4 inch drive ratchet with a 1/4 inch drive extension, a 1/4 inch universal joint, and a 10mm deep socket. Step 9. Unscrew the reverse set screw with a 2.5mm Allen key until the shifter arm can't hit it. This will turn off the reverse lockout. This step is for adjustment. Step 10. Remove the airbox. It will give you access to the shifter cable on the transmission to do the proper adjustment. Access the right-hand side cable from the front of the car. That's the cable that moves the shift tower up and down. Adjust until you can reach reverse with the shifter. Step 11. Adjust the reverse set screw until you can't go into reverse without using the reverse lever. Adjust the set screw on each side of the shifter until the car goes smoothly into all of the gears. Use scissors to cut the insulation and carefully install it around the shifter. Step 12. Plug all of the connectors back into the control panel and put the control panel back in place by tightening the 2 T20 Torx screws. Note that the factory shifter boot is not compatible with the new shifter. Now you can reverse all of the remaining steps in order to finish the assembly of all the components underneath your car. A highly trained technical service department is maintained by KDN Performance to answer your technical questions, provide additional product information, and offer various recommendations. Technical service calls, correspondence, and warranty questions should be directed to KDN Performance, www.kdnperformance.com, or info@kdnperformance.com, 1-833-654-4600.